Good evening, everyone, or good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Sunday, December 29th, 2019, Maneco 64. So the title of the live stream is the 2020s, Other Decade of Mounting Debts and Currency Debasement. At least I think that's what the powers that be are going to keep trying to do. Whether they succeed is another question, of course. The flip side would be a total implosion of the system and a collapse and destruction of all the debt. But either way, I think it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be going to get any better for the general public. Am I being negative here? No, I'm just trying to tell you guys what I think is going to happen. And I think people can still do well in life. You just need to be aware of these things, in my opinion. So it's great. We already have 60 people here. I'm glad I got on because I tried to get on a few minutes before and I couldn't, it wouldn't go live. So I had to try again. Luckily, it's just about time anyway. So we've got quite a few people here already. A lot of thumbs up already. We've got Full of Hope, Mr. Andy from Devon, James Todd, Mr. B, Jazz Atwall. One interesting question I saw here by Billy Garrett: if paper currency is to continue to degrade so quickly, then why not be far in debt? The problem would be self-corrected, would it not? Take out loans and buy physical gold. Well, I was reading a little bit last week. Where's the book? I think I put it away now, but it's the book about when money dies during the hyperinflation in Germany in 1923. The problem is if things get really bad, the currency keeps getting very debased. If you don't have an income, a steady income, that does well in a period of inflation like that or hyperinflation. It will be difficult for you to pay off the interest on the debt, even if the debt gets smaller. The people who did well during the hyperinflation, who took on mortgages and debt, were people like farmers, people who had like a good income from commodities. So I personally would stay away from debt, even though the debt is going to be, how can I say, eroded away or debased. And being in debt, you're actually dealing with the bankers, and we know the bankers don't always play it straight. Yeah, I'd like to say also I wish everyone had a good Christmas or whatever you celebrate during the holidays. For me, it's Christmas, of course. And I wish you all a happy New Year as well. We've got 1.5 days, I guess, of market trading tomorrow and Tuesday. Tuesday will be like a half day. So we've got Dr. A and B from Dubai, Natural Fool, S. Craig. Thank you, S. Craig. Brett Garside. I'm not in debt. What benefits do I get then? Well, the benefit you get is that you're not beholden to anyone. I think that's the best thing. Why do you want to be beholden to anyone? That's, for me, the most important thing. Gold rush in Switzerland and Australia. I'm not sure. One of the reasons why I did a video a few days ago about the people queuing up in Cologne, Germany. They're implementing anti-money laundering rules from the 1st of January, where you will have to give ID and sign papers if you buy more than 2,000 euros worth of gold with cash. And a lot of the shops in Germany were closed from the 24th to the 1st of January. They're closed. So people are trying to get in there, buying the gold before. But I think it also shows that people don't trust the government. They don't trust the euro. And that's the other thing I wanted to talk today is about the euro and the ECB. I think the ECB and the euro and the EU could move towards a lot like the US. They're going to start spending a lot, even though the Germans are against it. I think with Lagarde at the ECB, it's going to be very different. And I think the Germans are right to accumulate precious metals. Phil Wills, I've just sold my house and I'm nervous. I can't trust the banks. In this climate, I'm looking to invest in precious metals. Is now the best time, or should I wait till further into the new year? Hi, Phil. I did the same 4.5 years ago. I sold my house. I bought a smaller house. I had a bit of cash left over, and I had no problem with accumulating precious metals with the rest of that cash. If you can buy some now during the Christmas holiday and New Year, why not? It's up to you. I wouldn't leave any amount of money in the bank that's above the amount insured by the FDIC, or here in the UK, it's FSCS, I think, or even in the Eurozone, I think it's 100,000 euros. Lord Humongous is here. Nice to see you here, Lord Humongous. Pablo Pina. So yeah, that's what I would say. If you can buy precious metals now, from what I've studied and from what I've read, precious metals usually do quite well in the beginning of the year. So personally, if I was in your position, I would try to accumulate in the beginning of now and in the beginning of the year. I wouldn't wait too long. Even though I think precious metals, buying gold and silver is like saving. So if you do dollar cost averaging, you're not really trying to make a trade. So yeah, buy some now, maybe wait a little longer. That's my advice. Well, yeah, that's my advice. But even though I'm not a financial advisor, it's my opinion. Aaron Levy is hiking in the rain. I can't wait for the currency collapse. Want gold and Bitcoin to go to the sun or the moon? I wanted to, because I subscribed to the Solari report about a month ago, and I got a couple of the old reports. I haven't got the new one yet for the fourth quarter. It hasn't come out. So yesterday I was reading a little bit this Solari report. Actually, I had a bath and I was reading in the bath. It's really interesting. And there's a part here that I wanted to talk about because Catherine Austin Fitts usually doesn't talk about this. Some of the things she talks about here, and it's the prologue, Wall Street. So she worked for Dillon Read, which was bought out by UBS, was a major investment bank from 1978 to 1989. And there's an interesting passage here, and I'll read what she says. One of my favorite Dillon Read officers was the son of a former Dillon chairman, and thus remarkably wise about the ways of the firm. I sought him out after a Birkeland temper tantrum and said that Birkeland, he was the president, was not at all like a Brady man who was the chairman, and that I was surprised at Nick's choice. So she was surprised that the chairman, Nick Brady, who became treasurer of the secretary, hired this guy, Nick Birkeland. And this is what her colleague said. My colleague looked at me with surprise and said something to the effect of, Brady did not choose Birkeland. Birkeland is a Rothschild man. I then said something about Dillon being owned by the Dillon partners. So what did the Rothschilds have to do with us? My colleague rolled his eyes and walked away as if I was an interloper out of my league among the moneyed classes. So there you go, the Rothschilds and Dillon Read. Very interesting. Yeah, I recommend the Solari report. It's not cheap, but I think I'd rather subscribe to the Solari report than to the Economist. You also get 1 ounce fine silver Solari coin, which is really nice. There you go. I'm not getting paid by Catherine Austin Fitts. I don't know her, by the way. And the Fed 2020. That's a great objective there, I would say, Lord Humongous. No, is he here yet? Hi, No, nice to see you. No buffering, that's good so far. That's good. We got quite a few people. I might try to stay on longer than usual today, seeing that it's the end of the year. The other thing I like to show you, because when I worked for Citibank, I worked there from 1995 to 1997. I worked in the futures department. They sold the futures department to ABN AMRO Futures. Then I worked for ABN AMRO for another 7 years. But I got to keep this nameplate. That's one of the only things I got to keep from Citibank. Very nice, very heavy. Could do a bit of damage. There's a burglar. I can use that. We're not allowed to keep any weapons here in the UK, but this is a bit like a weapon. So yeah, that's one of the legacies of Citibank. The other thing about Citibank is when I went to ABN AMRO, I had a few clients that were actually working for Citibank. That used to trade through us at Citibank. People, traders or in the treasury. And I had a very nice contact in New York, Citibank treasury, very quiet spoken guy, very polite guy. I really liked him. He was my client for many years. And he knew I was into gold. And this was before even the '08 crisis. And he actually told me a really interesting story and it shows how the big banks in New York actually basically own the New York Fed. Because he said that almost every quarter, he used to be sent to the New York Fed gold vaults to look at the gold. And I said, why do you go there? And he said, well, we're just told that we need to go and look at all the gold at the New York Fed vaults. So this was a guy working for Citibank. So it goes to show you who's really behind the regional banks. It's not, they're not government owned. They're privately owned by the commercial banks. So that's a little story from me about Citibank. Tom Taylor, are you still with Glint? Well, I have a Glint card. I'm not using their promo code yet. I've been contacted by them. The CEO sent me a WhatsApp message on Friday night. I was out for dinner with my wife. It was our Christmas present. We gave each other a nice dinner. And I told the guy, the CEO, can we talk later? So maybe I'm going to be talking to him tomorrow or later on this week. I want to hear from him because the only problem I have right now is I don't want to see what happened to Glint from September to early to November happen again. I know people didn't lose their funds or gold, but it's not nice to have access to your money for 2 months. But it's a good concept. But my concern is that they've leveraged themselves too much to expand very quickly, and that could be a problem. That's what I want to find out about, because it's not a public company, so you don't really know the ins and outs. So that's how I see Glint. I still have the card, but I haven't put much in it. Dave Humphreys, food prices are set to rise with bad weather for farming. Global warming, so increased inflation, question mark. Well, I would say that that's not inflation, that's rising prices. I look at inflation as a purely monetary phenomenon. So there you go. The weather could impact food prices. In Australia, they have a lot of fires. I saw here in the UK, it's been raining a lot. So yeah, the weather can always impact commodity prices. Yeah, I see that, Lord Humongous. Trump is also linked to the Rothschilds via, yeah, the Commerce Secretary. Yeah, they bailed him out, I think, in the early 90s. Make 99% great again. Uh, is that in opposed to the 1%? Well, right now, Lynn, I think what's happening is the 1% is with the stock market going up. It's the 1% that is they're continuing to make the 1% great again. Unfortunately, uh, the people losing out are the general public with the currency debasement, because the Dow going up like it is, all the stock markets, gold, that's just a reflection of a dollar that's sinking, and that's going to hurt people at the bottom. 50% more, even 90%, they'll be hurt. Zach Grant Butler, top 5 favorite best books. Yeah, I've done quite a few. I've called them book streams where I talk about books. So what are my favorites? I like the book on Jesse Livermore. It's what's it called? It's by Richard Smitten. Yeah, I like that one. I like The Creature from Jekyll Island. What else? The Mandibles is really good. I recommend that. I also like The Law by Frederick Bastiat. That's a small book. And also A Fiat Money Inflation in France by Andrew Dixon White. Those are one of my favorites, but there's a lot more that hasn't come to my head right now. Nacho Fool, thank you for your super chat donation. He says, love Sunday live streams. Thank you. Tom Taylor, thank you as well for your super chat donation. Yeah, Bud Holly, feed the rich is the current economic model superimposed on the masses. Yeah, and I think the powers that be, they think that they know better. They think that if you keep this inequality, that it will flow down to the general public, the trickle down. But it hasn't really. Am I saying that we have to redistribute wealth? Am I a socialist? No. I think the best way for to have more equal wealth distribution is a fair monetary sound money system. I think we need to go to a free market monetary system where the public decide what they want as money, not the government. It seems revolutionary. A lot of people don't, a lot of people in the general public can't think like that. They think that government needs to be involved in money, but it doesn't work. It only benefits the very few. I wonder, will they hit gold down before the end of the month? SW asks that. Well, I think gold is looking pretty good technically, so I'm not sure they're going to be able to keep it down. I noticed though on Friday that the dollar dropped a lot versus the pound and the euro, and gold didn't really go up too much, and silver was kept down. But I think the technical picture is looking pretty good right now. Usually gold in the beginning of the year has a good move higher. Maybe tomorrow and Tuesday it will, I don't know, it might not go anywhere, but I think it still looks pretty good technically. Snowy Skylar, what's your opinion on old silver coins? Are they a good idea? Yeah, I have I have bullion silver. I have silver bars, and I also have the old 1964 and before quarters. I love the Kennedy half dollars. I have some This is a 1962 half dollar. I have half crowns. So yeah, I like all kinds of silver, and I don't think what they call junk silver. Yeah, I think it's silver as well. So it's not a problem at all. It might even in the U.S. it might even be a good thing. Because Americans were using silver coins until 1964, so people might still accept it. They probably will. In the UK, we haven't really had silver in the coinage since 1946 or 7, when it was at 50%. And the real sterling silver coins, the last time we had them was 1919. But I think people will still accept those in a crisis. Yeah, Billy just jumped off. He's just went to sleep on the floor. Yeah, it put him off the noise. MK Ultra. I don't follow Bixway, Jason before. Those guys scammed a lot of people in the last crypto bull, especially Jason before with Trader Boss. Actually, I still subscribe to Snip 4. I don't listen too much to his videos anymore. But yeah, I've spoken to him years ago on Skype before the crypto move. Yeah, I think maybe he got too much involved into that. Bix Weir, I used to subscribe to him, but I don't subscribe to him anymore. And I won't say anything else about those guys. Isabella, do you know about Soros trying to smash the pound again, GBP? No, I haven't heard about that. Not sure if he will this time, even though I think, yeah, on Friday the pound rebounded quite well. But I think it's possible that we could have a no-deal Brexit if we don't get a trade deal by the end of next year. That's what we'll get, a no-deal Brexit. Yeah, Billy's snoring. Vbjorn Gritson, Greg Manarino sees around 10% drop in stock market in January. Do you think the same? It's difficult. Right now, if I looked at the chart of the stock market and it didn't say stock market, it just someone just showed me a chart, I'd say, wow, that looks bullish. So he could be right, Greg Manarino. But if I had to bet, I'd bet that it would keep going up. And I think gold and silver are going to keep going up. Everything's going to keep going up, in my opinion. Who's crazy enough to buy US stat now? That's right. I mean, Catherine Austin Fitts has talked about the FASB 56, how the finances of the US government actually have gone dark. You can't really trust anymore where the money goes. If you buy treasuries, where that money will go. They can use that FASB 56 to hide everything. And it's not just the US government, it's big corporations that work closely with the US government. They could hide a lot of stuff and ask for permission from the government to use the excuse of national security. So people like JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Boeing or Apple or Amazon, they could hide a lot of stuff. So I don't, not only US debt, but the whole system. That's why I think people need to be outside the system. Personally, that's the way I think. It's going to be a time where you want to, I used to read a guy, I forgot his name now, Schoon or Schoon, SDR Schoon. Some of you might remember him. And he used to talk about that The next collapse is going to be the time of the vulture. What does that mean? Well, it doesn't matter if you're a bull or a bear. It doesn't matter. What you want is to hold on to what you have. It doesn't matter if you're a bull or a bear. It's going to be such a big crisis. Yeah, Greg was talking before a minor correction before it goes up. He could be right. Or we could see a great crash, like Bo Pony has been calling for, but he's been wrong. Confiscation possible in the U.S. Would Glint pay? I don't think so, because the Glint, they keep their gold in Switzerland. So they, yeah, the U.S. government would have to go to Switzerland and confiscate that gold. So I don't think that's going to happen. Is it possible that in a collapse the dollar rises? Rises again? Rises versus what, Bud Holly? I mean, you look at 2007 and 8. The dollar did rise against other fiat currencies. It did correct a little bit against gold, but I remember at the time that gold went from 1,000 to 700. You could almost find no physical gold here in London, at least. The premiums were really high. So yeah, that's right. Daryl Robert Schoon. That's what he said. He always used to talk about the time of the vulture. I think that's what we're gonna see in the next decade. It's not. I'm not saying that people can't thrive, but it's going to be difficult. Where did I get my sovereign wallet? I think it was in an antique shop or in London. Yeah, you can in an antique shop in London. I think near Covent Garden in the West End, not in the West End, near Charing Cross. Yeah, I've got it here. Let's see. There you go. It's actually made of sterling silver. It's made of silver. So I think what people used to do, they used to have a chain. You know, people used to wear a chain and put it in their pockets, and you can put about 4 sovereigns, 2 on each side. So there you go. Yeah, you can also Xerxes 5150. Look on eBay. You might find it on eBay as well. I got one on eBay. I've got another one made of brass on eBay. Yeah. So yeah, the Fed's going to continue to inflate. I agree, and I think the ECB now. I think Macron is getting a lot of power in the EU. He put Lagarde there in charge of the ECB. I think they're going to try to in Europe. They're going to try to create a EU treasury where they can amalgamate all the bonds from the pigs, Portugal, Italy, Ireland, Greece, and Spain, and they're going to put the German debt together and debase everything. They're going to inflate everything, and I don't think the Germans are going to be able to do anything, or they might want to leave the EU, but I'm not saying this is going to happen overnight, but that's the goal, I think. And by doing that, they're going to be able to spend even more because they're going to spread the debt around. And yeah, the euro is also going to continue to inflate away. And that's why I think those Germans are buying physical gold all over the place there. Just as Americans, 2 questions. How do you travel internationally with gold? And how do you sell gold safely in the event of a collapse? Well, you should have, when you buy gold, you go to a dealer. That dealer should also buy from you. When you want to sell internationally, you can, if you have a lot of gold, you can ship it through Brinks or on the post, insured. or you can carry some with you. I've traveled before to Europe, to the continent, and I've put 2 or 3 sovereigns in my pocket when I went to Italy with all the other coins, and I go through security. I just put all my coins in the box. No one even knows that they're gold coins. That's what I do. So there you go. And then when I got to Italy, I found someone in Florence who would actually buy the gold. I sold one of my sovereigns just to see how it worked, and it was fine. So it's possible. You just gotta, yeah. That's why sovereigns are good, because a lot of people, they don't even know they're gold coins. They think it's copper. John Meyer, thank you for your super chat donation. Thank you. But it's difficult, of course. It's not easy to transport big amounts of gold internationally. You need to check. Some countries have restrictions when you bring the gold in. Lord Humongous, I think Lizard Guard, yeah, Lagarde heavily involved with OTC criminals. The other thing about Lagarde is that she was convicted 3 years ago in France for a year for criminal activity. They suspended her sentence. They didn't really give her the prison sentence, so she's compromised. So she's going to be doing everything the globalists, the Rothschilds and people like that tell her to do at the ECB, because if she doesn't, she's out. So they've got her. John Mayer, I just wanted to ask, thought the Germans were only buying on one spot because no reporting about other places. Yeah, John, I got comments in that video that I did about Cologne from people in Germany that it wasn't only happening in Cologne, but it was happening elsewhere. One of the reasons is that they're going to have new anti-money laundering rules coming up the 1st of January in Germany. You're going to have to register and show ID if you buy over 2,000 with cash. And that's one of the reasons why they're doing that as well. But it also shows that people don't trust the government too much in Germany. They don't trust the euro, because even if they had brought, if they trusted the euro and they had brought this money laundering law, why would they have rushed? If they trusted the euro and the government, they wouldn't have rushed to buy gold like that, in my opinion. Colonel Crypto, yeah, there will always be gold left. That's the thing about people. Some people say there's not enough gold to support the monetary system. Of course there is, because if there wasn't, gold wouldn't be money. It's just that what ratio or price to things do you value gold? That's how they attract supply of gold. If we wake up tomorrow and gold is at $50,000 and everything else is the same, I will sell some of my gold because to take advantage of that. So I don't think gold will ever run out. And gold is very abundant. The stock to flow ratio is 64-1. So that means there's 64 years of gold production every year. So because gold is not consumed. Fed is doing repo of more than 400 billion day by day. I don't think it's gotten up to as much as 400 billion, but it's a couple hundred billion overnight, and the term repos as well. Oh yeah, I think they have the potential, you're right, to do up to 500 billion. I think it was from the middle of December to the middle of January. And they're doing 60 billion in QE as well. Make America gullible again. MAGA. John Mayer recommends the Rothbard's The Mystery of Banking. Okay, I'll look into that. I've got I've read a couple of Rothbard's book. One is the America's Great Depression, which I recommend, and also What Has Government Done to Our Money? Has anyone had a go at a sluice box? I went to Wales a few years ago with a pan. Didn't have a sluice box. It was quite hard work in the river. I was like panning for gold in a river in North Wales. I I think I still have it's a few of the little flakes that I got. I don't know if you can see it here. That was from 5 hours in this river. It's very tiring, so it's not easy. I haven't watched Gold Rush in a few years, but I like that program. It shows you how difficult mining for gold is. Oh, there's Mike Martins. Hi, Mike. Nice to see you here. Oh, yeah. I forgot to tell you guys. This morning at 6 a.m. London, I was on Mike Martins' Mike in the Night show. He's from British Columbia in Canada. He does that every Saturday night, Canadian time. I was on for an hour. Mike Martins, you need to check out his YouTube channel. He's got a good channel. Yeah, I was on last night or this morning for an hour before I went to play golf. So I was on from 6 to 7 o'clock a.m. London, and I'm on from 1 hour and 3 minutes. Yeah, Mike in the Night. That's right. Hi, Mike. Yeah, Mike, like me, he speaks Portuguese. It's our mother tongue. Yeah, I enjoyed the interview. Mike asked some really good questions, I thought. John Meyer, thank you for the other super chat donation. Yeah, it is nice twice. €5. Snowy Skylar, does anyone else think millions will die in this crash? Well, Greg Manorino always talks about how he thinks a lot of people will die. Is it being negative? I think one of the problems I have is that in our modern economy, there's so much specialization, of course, and that's what money helps people specialize. And the fear I have is that they're like abusing the money, the monetary system so much that if people lose confidence in the money, yes, we could have total mayhem because it's very difficult to do indirect exchange without money. So if we have to go back to barter, I think that's possible. What you've just said there, unfortunately, let's hope it doesn't get to that, but we need to be aware of that, I think. Isabella thinks Manorino is a fearmonger. No, I actually agree with him. It's possible. You can't count that out, actually, because knowing how they've been abusing the monetary system since 2008 and even before, it's a possibility. And yeah, I wouldn't put it past. I wouldn't. I think it's a possibility. I recommend The Mandibles. That's an interesting book. It talks a little bit about that. Tim Jones, hope you had a great Christmas. Happy New Year to you. What do you think about mines being nationalized, like Bix Weir says? Well, I haven't been listening to Bix Weir, but I don't think I guess he's talking about Canada, because Canada central bank has zero gold. Not sure they have to nationalize the mines. They can just buy the gold from the mines with the money that they issue, with the paper money. They could do. They could probably restrict the exports of gold, but I don't think they want to go in and nationalize the mines. But you never know. Jeremy Corbyn was talking about nationalizing the broadband in the UK. Good thing he didn't win. I think it's only speculation by Bix Weir, but I don't think there's any talk about that. Graham Hobbs, I think most people are missing. We're focusing on finance. People die because of weather changes. I think the other thing as well, yeah, finances are important. And of course, my videos are about finances, but it's not everything. I think being in peace, having peace of mind with yourself, living within your means. There's a lot of different things. Living in a community where you know people around you. It's not just about the money, even though, of course, it helps. Hi, Ben Gray. Nice to see you. SAC Media, holding on to cash is a losing game. I agree. I saw a picture on Facebook and I took a screenshot of it and put it on Twitter. There's a shopping trolley with $20 in 1974, and it's full of shopping. Then 1994, it's half full, and the $20. And then 2014, there's almost nothing in it. That's how far the $20 has dropped. And then they have an ounce of gold, and the shopping trolley is getting fuller and fuller. So yeah, health is very important as well, of course. Yeah. Without any health, you can't have any wealth. Oh, Time Will Tell read Where Are the Customers' Yachts? That's a good book as well, about Wall Street, how Wall Street operates. Yeah, Snowy Skylar, have a skill others need in the crisis. That's right. Revenez 2010s were like kind of a countdown. 2020, 20 minus 2017 equals 3. Not sure what that means. Yeah, rising commodity prices always. Yeah, that's how the cycles work. When commodity prices are low, people stop trying to find commodities to sell it. And then there's a shortage and prices go up, and then the opposite happens. People start extracting a lot, the supply grows and prices go down. That's why you get the commodity cycles. Yeah, Mike Martin says metals seem to have found their bullish footing. I agree. We broke out of the this consolidation, falling wedge in gold and silver. We've had that since September, so I think we're going to move. Well, fiat currencies are going to move lower. We always say gold and silver prices are moving higher, but I think it's better to say actually that the paper currencies are going to move lower. Billy's just, he's walking around. I think he wants to go out, but he's going to have to wait. Aaron Levy, no, I don't listen to that guy, Crypto Viewing. Platinum, I haven't really followed platinum that much. I know it's been going up a little bit. Yeah, it is a precious metal, but it's not really money, platinum. And why is that? Well, because the stock to flow ratio is very low, so it's not as stable as gold. But no, I haven't followed platinum too much. Lord Humongous and Rumpelstiltskin. What about Germany trying to force people to spend their savings and stopping them from buying gold? Yeah, governments are always going to try to do that, but I think the German people are not silly. They've had 2 currency collapses in the last 100 years. So there's a lot of people still living in Germany that have been through that. Derek Barwise thinks the controllers have one last stab at dumping on the metals. Well, that's fine, because then you'll be able to exchange your fiat and get a little more of the metal. Dave Humphreys, yeah, I think it was Thursday. Silver was catching a bid, going above 18. Gold was doing well. And then they started hitting silver because it's easier, and then they've kept it below 18. I could feel that they're trying to do that, I think. And so, and gold though stayed quite firm. We'll have to see what happens tonight when we reopen. Pablo Pina says here that copper's in deficit will be the doctor in 2020 treat the financial condition. It's funny you should say that, because I actually ordered a 1 kilo copper bar from Degussa, which was the shop people were queuing outside in Germany, in Cologne, and it was 35 pounds. So 35 pounds for a kilo of copper. I haven't received it yet. When I get it next week, when I do the live stream, I'll show it to you guys if I have it by then. 1 kilo bar of copper. So 253 people, that's good. Crypto, yeah, I've added on to some Bitcoin. I actually sold some of my Steam. Steam isn't really doing that well. I sold some of my Steam and I bought some more Bitcoin. I have EOS as well. I was looking, cryptocurrencies are doing fairly well today, but they still haven't taken off again, but I think they will. And there's the Bitcoin halving in May. That should be positive, even though it's probably some of it is priced in already. Oh yeah, Graham says he's excited for the copper bar. Yeah, considering a kilo bar of gold is like, I don't know, what is it, over 30,000 pounds. To pay 35 pounds for a kilo bar of copper seems like a good deal. MK Ultra accumulating Litecoin, Neo, Theta, and Ontology. I bought some Monero about a month ago. I have some like altcoins from EOS. They're not doing very well, but I've just left it there in the drawer, so to speak. I actually think that cryptocurrencies, they're in their infancy as well. I think like a lot of the major cryptocurrencies, It's like a little bit like Apple was 25 years ago, or Microsoft in the 80s. I think they're going to do very well. You just need to be patient and not and be aware of all the volatility. I think make sure you don't put money that you don't feel comfortable in seeing fluctuate. Just put enough that you're not worried about it, I would say. Yeah, I still think yeah, Mike Martins. Yeah, I think I'm not sure if you agree with me. I still think it is in the pioneer stage, even though Bitcoin has gone from cents to like where we're now, or even when it went to 20,000. What do you think about the slowdown in the Chinese economy? Well, the slowdown there is like from 6% to 5.8% GDP. I think the Chinese, like the US, the UK, every other country, they're not really truthful about GDP. But yeah, and there's been a lot of debt created in China. But yeah, I think the whole engine of growth still is based in the States. The US dollar is still the reserve currency. But yeah, trouble could start from China. Who knows? The thing is, the Chinese financial system is closed. Their currency is not really convertible. And I've seen that there's some banks that failed in China. At least it looks like the Chinese allow businesses to fail, even though some of them were state owned. In the West, like in the US, in the UK, in the EU, they don't seem to want to allow things to fail anymore. And I don't think that's a good thing. Yeah, there's nothing too truthful about GDP. That's right. I've made videos about that before. It is possible, Hiker9, that they could add silver in the US, but I don't think they're close to that yet. Yeah, Hecla has taken off quite well. The technical picture looks quite good. The ticker symbol is HL. I don't have any Hecla right now. I don't have any stocks right now, Zach. I did have some mining shares that I got rid of only because I wanted to cash in a pension that I had because the fees were too high and I was paying too much fees. But right now I don't have any mining shares. Yeah, Mike, I agree. The unemployment thing is the big thing because they have such a huge population, and they need to keep people happy. Steve Hall, Chinese executive executed for looting the company. Yeah, there's a lot of cases in the last few years of even politicians who were caught in corruption scandals. They were disgraced. But in the West, it's all covered up still. Not everything, but it is. Yeah, I watched the other day The Big Short. Some of you have probably watched it. I highly recommend The Big Short. Watch it again. Uh, it's funny at the end. They say they're talking and they're saying uh, everything's going to be great now. The bankers are going to go to jail. The system is going to be reformed. And then the commentator in the film says, wrong. The bankers got even more bigger bonuses. So yeah, at least the Chinese punish people for wrongdoing, it seems. I'm not saying they're perfect, but there you go. Prudenda has sold her last shares of Exxon to buy more gold. Lily Robin, do you think we could end up like Japan, shrinking economy for decades, or Venezuela out of control? Yeah, that's a good question. Some people seem to think, yeah, we're going towards the Japan route because of the demographics. The thing is, the hyperinflation could occur as well. It's it's like a coin. It could go either way. I think very few people really know what's going to happen. One thing I think I know that's going to happen is that they're going to keep creating more and more debt, and that means the money is going to become worth less and less, and that asset prices are going to keep going up. It's going to be harder and harder for the general public. There's going to be more and more wealth inequality, unfortunately. David Bradley, Exxon pays a nice dividend. Well, yeah, there's some shares here in the UK, like the tobacco manufacturers, cigarette companies. They pay like 6 or 7% dividends. So if you're all right with investing in those, that's a good dividend as well. Oh, good. MM so found the Mike Martin's video. Let me see if I got a link here. Yeah, here we go. I got the link. Oh, MMNO is giving us the link. Okay. Yeah, I'm on from an hour and 3 minutes, but you can watch the whole show. I think it's an interesting show. Lord Humongous thinks FANG stocks are going to get slammed. Yeah, I saw an article, I think, I'm not sure where, maybe Zero Hedge, talking about Microsoft, that it might, some people think it's due a big correction. Lily Robin, do you think the Fed still prints money? I find it hard to believe they are moving pallets of money around. I think they're creating money on a computer screen. Yeah, I mean, that's just a figure of speech saying printing, but they do it on a computer, but they do create the entry out of thin air. How do they buy the 60 billion T-bills? They type it on the computer. Yeah, of course they don't. I think it's the U.S. Treasury actually that prints the money anyway. I think there's something. It says Federal Reserve note, but it's signed by the U.S. The Treasury Secretary of the Treasury and the Treasurer. It's signed by them. So, but when we say printing money, is that they're creating it, be it digital through the computer. But if it goes out in banknotes as well, because the government goes out, takes that cash entry that they get for selling the debt to the market, which the Fed helps, and then they pay people, contractors, people who work for the government, and if they go to the bank and withdraw cash, that's that printed cash. Yeah, Pablo Pino, the average individual can't afford any stock almost anymore with the stock market going up. Won't a recession trigger a crash? Well, in Europe, there's almost been a recession. It hasn't really been confirmed. In the US, GDP is around 1.5% for the fourth quarter. Uh, who knows what's going to come first? Sometimes the crash happens and then people find out we're in a recession. Have a sip of my crystal clear. What do you think about the gold restriction on gold? Never heard of that. Gold restriction on gold. What does that mean? Bud Holly thinks they can prevent a crash if they really want. Um, yeah, people say, oh, they can always print, and that's true, or create money, or on the keyboard, as Lily said, uh, or entries. The thing is, they inflate their balance sheet too much. People will lose confidence in those Federal Reserve entries, because don't forget the Federal Reserve only has about 65 or 70 billion in equity. So if they increase their balance sheet to 10 trillion, they'll be like a highly leveraged hedge fund. So that's the other thing. Mike Martins, how many? He's talking in Portuguese. How many coffees have you had today? I think a cup, just two. One in the morning. This is actually not coffee. It's like just water. So just two coffees. But yeah, I've been up since before 6. Yeah, you can't print confidence. That's right. That you see, if countries could print or create money out of thin air and with no consequence, uh, there wouldn't be any poverty in the world. So, and it's the same. I don't think the U.S., Europe, or the U.K. are immune from that. They've been doing it for more than 12 years at SC. They've been doing it for, you could argue they've been doing it since 1971. Yeah, we are due for a downturn. It happens almost like every 10 years. So, yeah, it's almost 12 years now. But I think it's like, yeah, they manipulated it, but I don't think they can do it forever. And you could argue it's like the seasons. Sometimes winter comes early, sometimes winter comes late, or spring. So it's the same thing, in my opinion. It might come a little later, but it will come. Lily Robin bought and the Fed mug to put in our office cupboard. That's great. Thank you. I've also designed a NDECB mug. It's got a picture of Lagarde behind bars on the other side. If anyone's interested, and the ECB, I've got it in English, in French, and German, and the ECB mug. I think I've got a 20% discount up until the end of the year, until Tuesday. If you use Xmas 2019, you get 20% off. And the CB mug. Climate change, Lynn Gordon. Yeah, I retired the old lady of Threadneedle Street. Yeah, Lynn, but she's behind bars. It's a good photo where she should be. She got a 1-year prison sentence, but she didn't have to serve it. Hi, Dewan. Nice to see you. All right. Yeah, I've gone on. I said I was going to do a little longer, but it's getting on an hour and 5 minutes. I'll take a few more questions and I'll call it a night. Oh yeah, Lily Robin forgot the discount. Time will tell. I think the reason there's no little liquidity is because they've changed the rules and regulations for the banks. Banks have to keep a bit more reserves. The other thing is the hedge funds and the speculative traders that use the repo market. They're leveraging a lot because rates are so low. The returns are so low because the central banks have bought so much, so many assets, trillions and trillions. They've driven down returns. So people have to leverage and leverage even more. When you have leverage, people get spooked and there's the liquidity dries up. But Holly, do you see inflation in England? I see rising prices. Yeah. Every year things seem to go up 5-10%. Yeah. Like the utility bills are going up. A lot of packaging, food packaging is shrinking, and the price is even going up. Petrol or gas prices have stayed pretty steady in the last 12 months. They're stuck around £1.30, 30, but that's per liter. But yeah, the cost of living is going up, and of course the currency is going down. That's inflation. They're printing more money. The pound is shrinking. We were at £1 was $2.11 in 2008, and now we're at 1.30. All right. Thank you everyone for being here, and I wish you all a happy new year. And of course, I'll be doing my video tomorrow and as normal. And Dow 40,000. Yeah, possible. And yeah, I wish you all a great new year. Thank you for showing up tonight, and I'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye.